Okay, let's think about this. What really defines a person's worth? I mean, is it who your parents were, your birthright, or is it maybe something deeper that shapes your destiny?
That's a huge question, isn't it?
It really is. And today on the deep dive, we're getting into a fascinating text from ancient India that tackles this head on. It's called the Madhurasuttam.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just, some dry old text. It's actually a dialogue, a conversation between a really wise spiritual teacher, Venerable Mahākaccāno, and a powerful king, King Madhura Avantiputta.
Right, set in ancient India, where
Yeah.
your social standing, your caste, it felt like everything, like it was just fixed from birth.
Exactly. It was like the air you breathed. But this text, it sort of unravels that whole idea, challenges those assumptions in a really interesting way.
Yeah, it really does.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack how this ancient wisdom gives us these powerful insights into what actually makes a difference to someone's standing, both back then and maybe even now. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is just how radical these ideas must have sounded back then.
Yeah,
You had this really rigid caste system, right?
totally.
And the Brahmins, the priests, they had this claim to be inherently superior just because of who they were born as.
Mhm.
And this sutta, it just walks right up to that belief and uses these like really practical everyday examples to show something different,
Yeah.
a different kind of truth about human value.
And it all kicks off with this meeting, this encounter.
Yeah.
King Madhura Avantiputta, who's a big deal, a powerful ruler, he actually travels quite a distance to Gunavana.
Right.
That's where Mahākaccāno is staying. And you can tell the king has serious respect for him already. He's heard Mahākaccāno is, learned, wise, eloquent, a really admired elder.
And he shows it, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
he get out of his carriage?
He does. He dismounts, approaches on foot. It's a clear sign of respect right from the start.
So the king seems pretty open-minded, actually, ready to, hear some real wisdom. And he doesn't sort of beat around the bush. He gets straight to the point.
No, he lays out the main argument, the Brahmin assertion, right there.
Yeah, what exactly does he say?
He says, Brahmins are the best caste, other castes are inferior.
The standard line?
Brahmins are white, others are dark. Brahmins are purified, not non-Brahmins. Brahmins are legitimate sons of Brahma, born from his mouth. Brahma born, Brahma created, heirs of Brahma.
Wow. I mean, you can feel the weight behind that, can't you?
Mhm.
Centuries of social structure wrapped up in those words.
Absolutely. It's a claim that basically says your entire life, your worth is decided the moment you're born. No changing it.
And Mahākaccāno's response, it's so, well, simple but profound. He just says it's a mere sound in the world,
Just words. Hot air, almost.
pretty much. And then he starts testing this sound, this claim, using these 4 different scenarios. And the first one is about something everyone gets: money, wealth.
Right. So no abstract philosophy here. He gets really practical. He asks the king, okay, think about this. What if someone from any of the 4 castes, Kshatriya, Brahmin, Vaishya, Shudra, what if they get really rich?
Yeah, like serious wealth. Riches, grain, silver, gold.
What happens then?
And the king has to admit, yeah, well, people from all the castes, even Brahmins, would end up serving that rich person.
How so?
They'd rise early, sleep late, do whatever is pleasing, act pleasantly, and speak courteously, basically doing whatever the rich person wants.
Mm,
And what's really insightful here, I think, is how the sutta makes you look at respect.
yeah.
It forces you to see that even in these supposedly fixed hierarchies, there's this practical deference, this respect given not just to birth, but to actual power and influence, economic power.
So it suggests wealth can actually kind of scramble the hierarchy.
Exactly. It makes all 4 castes equal in that specific situation. Practical respect versus just, inherited status. It really challenges the idea of inherited power against, well, earned influence. Still relevant today, maybe.
Definitely food for thought. So, okay, wealth can disrupt things, but what about something more, I guess, fundamental, like your actual character, your actions? Where does Mahākaccāno go next?
He moves on to morality, the moral dimension. First, he asks about negative actions. What if someone, again, from any caste, does bad stuff?
Like what kind of stuff?
The text lists things like killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slander, harsh speech, idle chatter, covetousness, ill will, or wrong views. Pretty comprehensive list of bad behavior.
Right. And what does the king say happens then?
The king says, straight up, doesn't matter what caste they are, if they do those things, After death, they're heading for a bad place, a state of woe, a bad destination, a downfall, or hell.
Wow, okay.
And he even says, I heard this from the arahats, the enlightened ones, so it's established wisdom.
So that's the downside. What about the flip side? What if someone from any caste does the opposite? Avoids the bad deeds, practices right views.
Then the king confirms they'd be reborn in a good destination, a heaven world. Again, citing the arahats.
Okay, so this seems crucial.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because if you connect this to the bigger picture, it's saying your actions, your karma, that's what decides your fate. That's what purifies you or, daflas you, not your birth.
Not the family you were born into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It fundamentally redefines purity and destiny based on how you actually live your life, your ethical conduct. Your spiritual standing is something you earn.
Interesting. So wealth impacts earthly service. Morality impacts the afterlife, both regardless of caste. What about law and order in this life? Does caste matter if you break the law?
Mahākaccāno's third test. He asks, what if someone from any caste commits serious crimes? Things like breaking into houses, plundering, housebreaking, highway robbery, or adultery.
Nasty stuff. What's the consequence?
The king agrees immediately. They'd get caught, they'd be punished, they'd be killed, dismembered, or banished. Standard justice for the time.
Right.
But here's the kicker. Mahākaccāno points out that in that situation, their old caste identity just disappears. They're not seen as a Brahmin thief or a Kshatriya thief. They're just seen as a thief. Full stop.
Huh. So the crime itself erases the social label, at least in the eyes of the law.
Precisely. It shows the law, in practice, treats the action, not the birth status, just as overrides that perceived birthright. It's a powerful point about how society actually functions when faced with, real wrongdoing.
That really is powerful. It implies that even the state implicitly recognizes conduct over caste when it comes down to it. Okay, so we've had wealth, morality, justice. What's the fourth test?
The fourth one goes into the spiritual realm. Mahākaccāno asks, what if a person from any caste decides to renounce the worldly life?
How does he describe that?
He says, what if they shave their head and beard, put on saffron robes, and go forth from home to homelessness? Living virtuously, abstaining from killing, stealing, lying, eating just one meal a day, practicing celibacy, basically becoming a monk or ascetic.
Okay, the full commitment. And how would people treat such a person?
The king's response here is really key. He says everyone would respect such a person. They'd be saluted, risen for, offered a seat, provided with robes, alms food, lodging, and medicine, even given lawful protection, universal respect.
Wow.
And just like with the thief, their old caste identity vanishes. They're not a former Brahmin monk or a former Shudra monk. They're simply regarded as a monk.
So spiritual practice trumps birth completely in terms of social regard.
Absolutely. It's maybe the ultimate proof in this argument that genuine spiritual attainment, this ethical transformation, it just transcends all those social divisions. It shows how this deep personal change earns a kind of universal reverence that birth alone just can't grant.
It's like achieving a status based purely on your chosen path and dedication, isn't it?
Exactly that. It's about this profound inner shift that society seems compelled to recognize, no matter where you started from. A powerful statement about human potential.
So bringing these four tests together, wealth, morality, justice, and this spiritual path, what's the big conclusion?
Well, after each example, Mahākaccāno circles back to the original Brahmin claim, the idea of inherent superiority by birth. And he keeps saying...
It's a mere sound in the world.
Precisely. Just noise. Because when you look at how things actually work, through economics, through moral consequences, through the law, through spiritual achievement, the supposed superiority just dissolves.
It doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
Not at all. It makes the inherent equality, or at least the equal potential, of everyone really clear. And the king gets it. He explicitly says, yes, all four castes are equal in these respects. He says, I see no difference.
Which is a huge admission for a king at that time.
Massive. It shows the logic is undeniable, based on observing the world as it is, not just accepting traditional claims.
And the king's reaction isn't just intellectual agreement, is it? He's deeply moved.
Oh, completely. He's overwhelmed. He declares right then and there that he takes refuge in Mahākaccāno, in the Dhamma, the teaching, and the Saṅgha, the monastic community.
But then there's that interesting little twist.
Yeah, Mahākaccāno very humbly says, don't take refuge in me, take refuge in the Buddha. He explains that he himself takes refuge in the Buddha.
And the king's response to that is pretty amazing, too.
It really is. He says he would travel incredible distances, 10, 20, even 100 yojanas.
Yeah.
Which is like Hundreds and hundreds of miles.
A huge undertaking back then.
Absolutely. Just for the chance to see the Buddha. But then he learns the Buddha has already passed away, entered parinibbana.
Final nirvana.
Right, and even knowing that, even knowing the Buddha isn't physically there anymore.
He still declares his refuge.
Yes, he still declares refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Saṅgha. Which really makes you think, doesn't it?
About what?
About the enduring power of the teaching itself, the legacy. That the wisdom and the path are the real refuge even after the teacher is gone. It shows how profoundly the message resonated.
What an incredible arc. From the king bringing this challenge based on rigid hierarchy to him completely accepting this radical idea of equality based on actions, wealth, justice, and spiritual effort.
Yeah.
So the core message from the Madhurasuttas, it seems pretty clear. Your real status, your real destiny, it's shaped by what you do, how you live, maybe what you achieve materially or spiritually, not just by who your parents were or the label society gives you at birth.
Absolutely. It boils down to conduct, karma, transformation.
And you have to wonder, how does that land with us today? We might not have exactly the same caste system, but we definitely have our own hierarchies, don't we?
Oh, for sure. Based on wealth, education, background, maybe even, social media status now. Different forms of inherited advantage or perceived superiority.
So applying that ancient wisdom, if all those claims to being inherently better than someone else are ultimately just a mere sound, what does that really tell us about where human dignity actually comes from?
That's the question, isn't it? If birthright and social labels are just noise, what's the true signal? What does it imply about how we should value each other, our responsibilities?
Definitely something to think about. What systems of value do you see and maybe participate in your own life? A powerful thought to leave you with.